Hey everyone, so today's video is going to be a book review and discussion of Never Fade by Alexandra Bracken. If you guys didn't know, I read this for Booktubeathon and it wasn't a fast-paced read, but it was really enjoyable and I really enjoyed it, which is what enjoyable means. Anyways, if you guys didn't know, I'm sure you guys can find a book review of The Darkest Minds where they set up everything, because I have a lot to talk about in this book. All I have to tell you guys is that I recommend it, and you guys need to read The Darkest Minds and you need to read Never Fade. Never Fade definitely took a different turn than The Darkest Minds, and it's a lot more mature than The Darkest Minds, but it was still really amazing. And if you're having second thoughts about picking this one up, I definitely recommend you go ahead and pick it up. That's it for the non-spoilery section, because I can't tell you guys anything about this book without spoiling The Darkest Minds. So yeah, I'm gonna start spoiling Never Fade for you guys right now, so bye! Okay, so my last video was literally 30 minutes long, so I'm gonna start talking really fast in this video, and I'm gonna try to get through all of my favorite parts, all of my theories, everything that happened in this book. So let's just get right into it. So the first part of this book took place 6 months after the Liam and Ruby separation here, and that was a pretty big gap. Ruby filled us in on everything that we need to know. She's the team leader. She had Nico, Jude, and Vita. That's it, right? Nico, Jude, Vita, and Ruby. And then there's the Minder, and then there's Robert, and just, yeah, all of those people. And then we have Alban. Yeah, he's the leader of everyone. It was interesting. And then we get this Cole and Ruby shower scene, which actually I really enjoyed reading. I didn't know if I could trust Cole at that moment. But Cole's a really interesting character, and I'll get to him near the end of this book, because we all know what happened at the end of this book with Cole. Anyways, we find out that Liam took the wrong jacket, or Cole took the wrong jacket. Somebody took somebody else's jacket. Yeah, the jacket switched, and Liam has that intel, that flash drive that has everything that they need to know about it. Cole needs it back because he doesn't want his brother to get into all this, and Ruby can check up on Liam and see how he's doing, all of that. So yeah, they go on this mission. Jude and Ruby leave, then they find Vita. At first I thought that I couldn't trust her, but I realized near the middle of this book that you can really trust Vita. I mean, she's not the best character, she doesn't have the best attitude, but I think that we can trust her in the afterlife. It feels like Ruby was being really mean to Jude in this book. Like, be nicer to him. He's sent on life-threatening missions every single week or so. So come on, give the kid a little respect. He's 14 years old. When we first started meeting Jude, this thought came to mind, and I was like, what if Jude and Zoo end up together in the afterlife? But now we know that they can't end up together. Honestly, I'm still really hoping that Jude is alive. I really hope it, because honestly, how amazing would it be if Jude started teaching Zoo her powers and everything like that? That would just be the most ideal thing. It would be so wonderful. Did anyone notice how much colder Ruby was in this book than in The Darkest Minds? She turned off her feeling switch, and now she's like, I can't get close to them because I'm gonna find a way out of here. And then they go to Liam's house, which is obviously the first place they would go to, and they meet Chubbs there, and it was just so heartbreaking when Chubbs is like, wait, where's Liam? Wait, he never would have left you. What is this? And the first time that I laughed out loud in this book was actually when the guy asked him, was that car on the road yours? No, Chubbs said, rolling his eyes. I flew in on a cloud and came blitzing down from the heavens like a bolt of lightning on this kid. I bursted out laughing. That was just so hilarious to me, and sarcasm is just the best route to go for these books. I also laughed when Cole was like, oh, little brother must have been a good kisser, huh? And then we have this line with Ruby and Vita, which I really liked. I stared at her, shaking my head. You are so full of it. You think we're just going to skip away with you into the sunset? No, Vita said. I expect you to fucking prance, and you're going to do it with a smile and the least amount of bitching possible, or Cole isn't going to honor your stupid deal and have the league free the cams. This character, I know that she is mean and she's rude and she has a horrible attitude. The character of Vita is just so real to me, and I can imagine her so easily in my head. And then we have another quote from Chubbs which I really liked. You were the gawky one, Lee was the reckless one, Zoo was the cute one, and I was the wise one. Oh, that just, it makes you miss the old times. They were all in Black Betty and they were all just going on a road trip trying to figure their lives out, and we miss that. We tend to miss that in this book because everything is so complicated and nothing seems right. Storyline is a lot more complicated. I really enjoyed it, but it wasn't The Darkest Minds, you know? But what I really liked is all these new characters. The dialogue with these new characters are just so good. And then this line made me laugh definitely the hardest, okay? So Ruby and her explosion with Jude when Jude was all curious about her past life.
What? The word exploded out of me. What do you want me to tell you? You want to hear about how they tied us up like animals to bring us into the camp? Or hey, how about the time the PSF once beat a girl's skull so badly she actually lost an eye? You want to know what it was like to drink rotten water for an entire summer until new pipes finally came? How about when I woke up afraid and went to bed in terror every single day for the next 6 years? For God's sake, leave me alone. Why do you always have to dig and dig when you know I don't want to talk about it?
And then there's this insert tension of silence here. And then Vita goes, I don't know about the rest of you, but I'd be up for hearing about the one-eyed chick. I burst out laughing, and I just love how in this dark moment of talking about Ruby's times at Thurmond, Alexandra Bracken just inserts this line with Vita in it, and I just loved that line. And then they all start to go and move around, and they hear about this fake slip kid. No, go somewhere. This isn't even the real East River. You're not the real slip kid, so who are you tricking besides this entire camp? Because I'm not falling for it. And I almost hated Knox more than I hated Clancy in this book. And then when Ruby finally reveals him, and then they go to the airport to go get supplies for the new camp, and Michael's there. Michael, what are you doing here? I was so mad. And when he called the PSFs and Robert came, what are you doing here, Robert? Like, was he following Ruby around this whole time? Like, we never really found out. Ruby started showing him the images of the kids that he killed. I thought that was the best way to use her powers. Ruby was talking about how she was torturing him or whatever, but honestly, he freaking deserved that. He killed 2 kids. The image in my mind was too much to take. When they were looking up at him with those big eyes, he just shot them in the forehead. In this book, Ruby really had a problem because she was comparing herself to all these other monsters. She was like, oh, I'm no better than Clancy, and then that other orange kid, you know, the one in The Darkest Minds, I forgot his name. She did what she needed to do to survive, and Clancy and the other kids, they were using it to their advantage, and I guess you could say that Ruby was using it to her advantage, but she was at least using it to survive. And I mean, I guess you can compare that to Juliet from Shatter Me, because in Shatter Me, Juliet had the same problem. She was talking about how her ability was just too much and that she's a monster and maybe everyone is right about her and maybe she should be locked up, and Ruby had that exact same problem. So honestly, she just needs to go the route that Juliet went and Ignite Me and use her powers for the better. Not to save only herself, but to save all of the good ones out there and to save everyone, every single child in every single camp who needs Ruby's help. Is it just me, or does Vita give off that Joanna-ish vibe? Joanna from the Hunger Games, if you didn't know which Joanna I was talking about. But yeah, I don't know. I think that I'll really start to like her presence in the Afterlight. And I really loved how in Never Fade, Ruby and Chubb's relationship really developed in this book. And it really just got so much better, because in The Darkest Minds, they were just getting to that kind of even ground and everything, but here they were really becoming friends, and it was really, really great to see that in this book. And then Liam in the camp. I can't believe I skipped over this, but Liam was in that whole white tent. Everyone was sick. He was in the middle of everything, and they were looking for some type of cure, penicillin, something like that. He got cured, he was okay, but then Ruby got stabbed, blah blah blah. And then the gas station scene, and Ruby goes to find him because she's scared he's gonna go and try and run away or something, and Liam's like, why can't you just leave me alone? And then she's like, I'm sorry, I know you don't like me. Liam's like, no, I love you, and I love you every single hour of every single day, and I don't know why, because I don't even know you, but it's like your face has been carved into my heart, and I don't know where, but I remember you. I remember that green dress in Virginia Beach. And then Ruby just pauses, and she's like, wait, back up, Virginia Beach, what? Then they kiss, he gets his memory back, and he's like, whoa, Chubbs is shot. Is he okay? What about Zoo? Where's Zoo? And then Ruby has to calm him down, and then that's when the PSF comes and she shoots everyone. Everything turns out okay. Liam gets all angry. It's tense for the rest of the trip until the wouldn't it be nice scene. And that scene was just so heartbreaking because if you guys didn't know, in The Darkest Minds there was another wouldn't it be nice scene when they were in East River. They were dancing and they were like, wouldn't it be nice if we could, and it was just, oh, it was so heartbreaking because Ruby's going back to the league. Chubbs and Liam are gonna try and find Zoo again. But then we go into the Dairy Queen. And who is it? It's Clancy again. Clancy, honestly, if I saw him there, I would have just shot him in the face then and there because he has too much power over all of them. Ruby can barely even control her powers, and let's all face it here, she's not as strong as Clancy is. Alexandra Bracken, when she was doing her interview with Christine from Poland Bananas Books, was talking about how she was developing Clancy a lot in the Afterlight, and I'm curious to see how that goes. I do have a couple theories about Clancy, but I will save that for the end of this video. But then let's just skip to where everything just goes crazy. So they're at headquarters, underground, and then she loses Clancy for a little bit. She finds Nico. Nico's like worshipped Clancy all of a sudden now. And then we see Cole, and Cole just goes like this, and then his whole arm lights on fire because he needs to see. And I had to reread that at least 10 times. I was like, what? This changes the entire game and this entire book, kind of. Yeah, because we're thinking that no adults can be trusted, and this is just insane in the membrane. I cannot wrap my head around that, and I definitely want more of Cole in the next book. I don't know. I don't think I ship Cole and Ruby. No, I don't. Who's on whose side here? This is just crazy. And then Clancy comes crawling out of the sewer system. Like, what in the... What in the world? How in the world can Clancy even freaking do that? That made me so mad. And why in hell would Jude not survive and Clancy does? What in the world? What? Like, I hope that In the Afterlight takes place right after Never Fade. Like, I don't want a 6-month gap this time. I want her to still be holding up that research at the first page. Honestly, all they said was that they found his shoe or something, so maybe he's still alive. I'm still pulling for Jude and Zoo in the next book. But then, my one theory about Clancy is that he didn't, in fact, kill his mom. He just took away her memories, is what I'm thinking here, because in The Darkest Minds, near the end, Ruby was trying to teach him how to take away memories, and he was like, oh, it's something I would be interested in learning, and Ruby wasn't that good at teaching him, but maybe he did figure it out, because let's face it, Clancy is a smart guy, and hopefully Ruby can somehow get the memories back in her. I don't know, because it worked for Liam. I hope it doesn't work with a kiss, because that would be really awkward if she had to kiss Clancy's mom. And then the last thing I want to talk about in this book is the Liam and Ruby tension in the next book. I think that that's going to be really extremely awkward, and I'm really scared for their relationship and what turn it's gonna take in the Afterlight, because there's already this whole thing about how Ruby didn't give Liam a choice and all of that, and also there's the whole Cole's a red thing, and then Liam's bound to find out in the next book. So when he finds out that Ruby knew all this time, will that be like the break of their relationship? Will they be able to come back together after all that? Because he seemed really angry when he found out about it. I don't know, but that is it for my book review and discussion of Never Fade by Alexandra Bracken. I obviously really enjoyed this book, if you guys didn't get that already. If you guys enjoyed this video, yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye!